Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis, and wanted to cover some of the latest news that's happening right now. And I know that my viewers are really on top of the news. That's one thing that I like about this channel and the subscribers and viewers, is that you guys and gals are on top of things. I'm not talking to a lot of people that are so disconnected and unaware of what the real reality is out there, so I enjoy that. As I'm sitting here, I'm realizing, man, I need a haircut. Needs to be something I do soon. All right. A lot of things going on in the news. Supposedly, the Mueller investigation will be wrapping up in a week, or next week, is what they're saying. And of course, as we all know, and especially the Democrats know, that, it's obviously, collusion is going to be found and all this sort of thing. I don't believe that. And I'm at the point that I don't think in their mind it doesn't really matter what the Mueller investigation comes out and finds. They're dead set on undermining and getting rid of Donald Trump whatever way they can. So, I guess in some ways, yes, it does matter what the report says, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't know that it does. Oh well. There's been a lot of things coming up. Venezuela, I've talked about that in the past quite a bit. Still keep your eyes on it. Cuba has security forces there and telling the United States to stay out. They've shut the country down, not allowing any kind of aid in. There's been a lot of attacks and murders from the opposition people that are opposing the president of Venezuela, trying to get him out. It's still shaping up to be a stalemate between us and China and Russia and Cuba when it comes to Venezuela. One thing that I saw that they estimate that already there's been 3 million Venezuelans, I'll get my tongue working correctly here, Venezuelans left the country because of what's going on, and as refugees. Well, where do those 3 million are going to end up heading? Because most of South American countries and Mexico and places like that, even though they're not really South America, but most of those countries aren't too welcoming to migrants, and they're not too welcoming to refugees. So where do you think those 3 million, already 3 million, and it's really just kind of getting going, where do you think they're going to head? Exactly. The one thing, though, that I really wanted to talk about, and I bend over and pick up my papers. Sorry about that. I was going to talk about that actor guy that staged that assault and stuff, but I thought this might be, because that's just crazy. I thought this might be something more interesting to talk on, and I'm just reading stuff that I'm finding, so I don't have any great deep insight, just to try to create some conversation and make you guys and gals aware of it and get you talking, and I'm sure some of you, know more than I do about this. But it's this new Green Deal. And, I think most conservatives, they see stuff like this and they're like, oh goodness. Every once in a while some crazy, left-wing moonbat comes up with some ridiculous socialist, plan. And, the news media jumps on it, and then it just kind of fades away and it's gone. And of course that could happen with this one too. But it's been talked about a lot. And there actually is quite a bit of support, that new congresswoman out of New York, Ocasio-Cortez, or however her name is pronounced, she's the one that's kind of the front person for this. But it doesn't mean that she's the only person for this. Bernie Sanders, who just announced he's going to run again against Trump, he's all in support of this. A lot of this comes from him. His campaign and stuff came up with a lot of this. So he's promoting it. And of course, the Democrats is all big on climate change, and environmental issues. They always have been. Will this thing get passed? Maybe not. I think the left is, and when I say the left, I'm talking about like communist, Marxist, far left, socialist. They've become extremely radicalized. This last election, that young congressman I mentioned and a few others, and these people have no experience whatsoever. They have no clue what they're doing, but yet the Democrats are already, praising them as this new leadership, this new wave of younger people getting into politics, and they just love them. So I think something like this is possible. And what usually happens with these, they make this proposal with many changes, and then that gets shot down. Because it's just too much too soon, and then they break it up, and then they slip little bits of it in with other bills, and that's how a lot of this stuff gets going. But I'm telling you, what I did, there's two documents of the new Green Deal. One is where it originated from, which is the Green Party, and you can go on their website, and this is kind of like the everyday language of what they're talking about. And then the other one is the actual resolution that's being proposed. Both of them are pretty much the same. This is all spoken in legal terms, and if you've ever read bills that's being proposed, they're kind of difficult to read. You kind of have to read between the lines how the setup. They're not written. It's not just like you're reading a thesis or something. That's what this is more like. But they are pretty much the same. So why should we care about this? Why? We're a fairly moderately conservative nation. Even people many that are Democrats still enjoy freedom and democracy and a democratic republic and all that kind of stuff. So this kind of socialism, it's never going to happen. We have to be careful, because this is very different in a lot of ways than most of the bills. If this was to be passed into law, it would be the closest thing we've ever even dreamed of the United States becoming a communist nation. And what I mean by that is it would virtually take our economy, not our process, our political system, but our economy, and make it be basically a communist-run economy, much that you would have seen in communist Russia, or seen in Venezuela, North Korea, Cuba, places like that. And as you read through it, you hear on the news, I've heard, you've probably all seen little news clips. Oh, well, they're talking about banning cars in 10 years and air flights in 10 years. It's much more than that. In fact, those things aren't specifically mentioned in either document. This is, a radical change. And the fact that it is being talked about so much, and that it does have so much support, is something that we all need to be aware of. It doesn't mean that, in the next year or two, this is going to get passed. It's possible. I believe that they have enough support, and that they feel so empowered by their movement that they would actually propose something like this, try to get it passed, and not just people put these resolutions all the time in Congress and they go nowhere. But to actually try to get it traction in Congress, I could see it happening. I wanted to, that's the problem with the beard. I thought I'd go over just a few points. I read both documents, and I thought I would flip through them and just mention some things that I thought some of you guys and gals might take notice. And what you have to understand, if any of you have ever read these types of things, you almost have to read between the lines of the word. They try to make it sound really good. They make it sound, like you're eating this, pie with marshmallow toppings and everything, but they don't tell you what's actually in it. I know that was a real poor analogy. one of the things that the Green New Deal, it would now this, what you got to understand when you're reading things that this would do, what it's saying is that the government, the federal government, it's empowering them, it's giving them the authority, the power to use, their power, which means in the end it could be guns that they're using, to enforce this. You're giving them that authority, that power, and that's a scary thing. And it doesn't really matter who's in office. Yes, I want the best person in office, and I prefer that best person to be conservative leaning and all that. But in the end, giving the government power, more and more power, is not a good thing, I feel, and really anyway. It would immediately halt, the federal government would use its authority under this bill to immediately halt any investment in fossil fuels and related infrastructure. So it's giving the government power to stop investing. It actually talks about how it would create a system where the government would decide where the banks can invest their money, that they would require them to invest so much into different areas and restrict them on investing money or loaning money for fossil fuels, infrastructure based on fossil fuels. Transition to 100% clean energy will foster a democratic control of our energy system. A democratic control of our energy system, rather than maximizing profits for energy corporations. So it's saying that the entire energy system of the United States would go under the control of the government. They would cut military spending in half and bring at least half of our troops home from military bases all over the world. There's a lot here, so I was just trying to pick out, some things that, I thought that you probably should be aware of if you haven't read this. And I encourage you to go online and find this. Read it for yourself. Don't just take my word or anyone else's word online or on TV. Invest in sustainable businesses, including cooperatives and nonprofits, by providing grants, loans, and with an emphasis on small, locally based companies. It talks a lot about creating wealth and using local labor unions. Move to 100% clean energy by 2030, which is about 10 years. Invest in clean energy technologies. Redirect research funds from fossil fuels. And invest in research for those types of things. Create a commission for economic democracy to provide publicity, training, education, redirect financing to cooperative development, and it goes on here and it says, and to make, why they're doing this, to make government agencies participate. So it is talking about on the local level. So this is a federal document, but they're creating this commission that would force your local government, your local towns, your local counties and stuff to participate in this. So you can't say, well, that's on the federal level, at least my local. No, they would be forced to participate in this. Guaranteeing jobs, to end unemployment in America once and for all. Promoting full employment and create 20 million jobs, guaranteed, making it a human right to have a job. Human right to have a job. So it doesn't matter whether you're a good worker or not. Sounds like the black helicopters are coming after me. Looks like a medical chopper. Clean energy by 2030. It would require energy conservation and efficiency, replacing non-essential individual means of transportation with high-quality modern mass transit. It goes on to talk about heating your home and other energies that you use. And if you read at the top, it would require energy conservation and efficiency. So they would be controlling how you would heat your home, the electricity that you use in your home. Let's go to this one. This is the one that was actually proposed, the language that was proposed in Congress. And there was a lot of little things that just jumped right out at me. This was a big one. Remember the other day when I mentioned it in one of my videos, when Donald Trump declared it a national emergency for because of the illegals coming across the border. Okay, Nancy Pelosi gets up and she, makes her little threats and comments. And one of the things that she mentioned, that they could use it to use the same authority to declare climate change a national emergency. And right here, this is the actual bill. Whereas climate change constitutes a direct threat to the national security of the United States. So because of that, they could make the statement, they could easily make their case that that climate change is a national security, a threat to the national security, so it needs to be a national emergency, so we can do a national emergency and start getting all this stuff done and make you. Now, I'm not trying to scare everyone, okay? This isn't like some kind of scare tactics type video, but these are just, you guys need to be aware of this stuff. I know this Cortez congresswoman, she didn't write this. I don't think she's quite smart enough to write it. Watching her is, I joked, I said it'd be like having a 10 or 11-year-old kid going to Congress. But I think it was Glenn Beck said that he believes that they're purposely putting her out there. They know that she says crazy things and she doesn't have her facts straight and she makes incorrect statements and she sounds kind of goofy and everything. But she's also young, and she's like the magician. I'm going to steal something from Glenn Beck. He said she's like the magician. This is like the magician, where he's doing something here to get your attention. Get in front of the camera so you can see. He's doing something here to get your attention while he's actually got the trick behind his back. And that's what she is. She's the little thing out here to get your attention, flipping the cards around while he's actually doing the trick behind his back. And that's what she is. That's what she's part of. They're trying to make it sound like this is all about her. Well, it's not. There's a lot of congressmen, a lot of people in government that are on board with this one. To secure for all people of the United States and for generations to come, clean air, water, climate, community resiliency, healthy food, access to nature, and sustainable environment. Oh, that sounds great. Why, who in the world would be opposed? Why, everyone wants clean water, right? You want to breathe clean air. You want to eat healthy food, right? You want access to nature. Why, we talk about that all the time on here, but living out here, it's great for people. Sustainable environment. Of course everybody wants that, right? Well, yeah, but I don't want the government to have the power to force it in their ways, which means that they take from a bunch of people and to create this. To promote justice and equality by stopping current and preventing future and repairing historic oppressions of indigenous people, communities of color, migrant communities, deindustrialized communities, depopulated rural communities, the poor, the low-income workers, women, the elderly, the unhoused, people with disabilities, and youth. Building resiliency against climate change-related disasters. And it actually talks about using technology to actually combat extreme weather. So, they're actually going to try to do things to control the weather. Is that what they're saying? Eliminating pollution. Guaranteeing universal access to clean water. Reducing the risks posed by the climate impacts, and ensuring that any infrastructure bill considered by Congress addresses climate change. Meeting 100% of our power demand in the United States through clean and renewable zero-emission energy sources by 2030. Upgrading all buildings. This is upgrading all buildings, existing buildings in the United States, and building new buildings to achieve maximum energy efficiency, water efficiency, safety, affordability, comfort, durability, including through electrification. Every building in the United States, is that what it's saying? Overhauling transportation. It goes on. I mean, this video is becoming way too long, because this is, it's providing, affordable health care, or high quality health care for all. Mandating affordable, safe, and adequate housing for all people. Mandating economic security, clean air, clean water, affordable food, and a job. So we're going to give you a job, give you a house, give you food, give you health care, everything else, but you don't really own anything, because based on that, if you start really reading it, there will not really be much anymore of private property, private businesses, private industry. The economy will no longer be a free economy. This is some serious stuff, and I know it's never going to pass, never going to pass. It could pass, but the big scary thing is that there's so much support behind this. What they'll do is they'll break it up into 24 different bills, and they'll attach it onto stuff. And over the next few years, we'll wake up one morning and say, "Well, the Green New Deal passed. It took 5 years and 25 to 30 different bills to get it all passed, but now it's all together." So it's something to be aware of. If you're motivated to contact your local representative, you should do so. And spread the word. And this isn't quite the crazy moonbat scheme that's being presented because this crazy girl from New York is the one talking about it a lot. This has got a lot of support. Bernie Sanders, most of this stuff came from his campaign, and he'll probably shape up to be one of the main front runners running against Trump. So this is some serious stuff to be aware of. I don't want to make it sound like it's a scare tactic, but just be aware of this stuff. This would be the greatest transfer of wealth that our nation has ever seen, and quite possibly human history has ever seen, if this bill was put into place. I've gone much longer than I would like to have gone, so I'm going to get off of here. Look it up for yourself and see what I'm saying it's true. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.